So there are a couple of aspects of stretching. People think usually that you just start on your exercises and right away you can work on your splits and you can work on your wide stretches and long stretches and what have you. It's not quite so. It's a whole complex of exercises, also including your food regimen and generally how you lead your day, how you take your body through the day. So first, talking about food. You want to stretch. You definitely do not want to rip your body. You don't want to force your body. You need to make sure that your body knows and is prepared to be gently handled. Right? So food generally helps that. Your muscles need food to be developed properly. Most importantly, you want water and you want protein. Right? So those two components are really important. So if your body is too dry, your stretching will not work. It will be painful, it will be hard, it will take a lot longer. You don't have protein, your muscles will be tired at the end, and they will not have a chance to rebuild themselves. So you need both of those. If you feel like having something sweet, and sugar does give you energy, do not do it after stretching. You can have maybe a little bit of juice or a little bit of something sweet right before. So that is the basic component of your food, like what it is that you want to feed into your body before you stretch. Now, the other very important aspect is before getting into the actual stretch exercises, you definitely want to pump your muscles a little bit. You need to warm them up and you need to work them a little bit so that they're strong. And that happens for two reasons. Reason number one, you want to make sure you're safe. So if you're going to a split exercise, you want to be safe. In other words, you do not want to fall through and hurt yourself, right? You do not want to wobble, you want to be stable, so you need to make sure your muscles are strong enough and resilient enough to be able to control your position, so you don't hurt yourself by overstretching, right? Or you don't want to have an accident while you're stretching. So today, we'll talk about the pumping part. In other words, we'll work on our muscles a little bit to warm up. So that's the first part. So the muscles will be strong. We'll work a little bit on their resilience. And we want to warm up our body before going into the actual stretch. And the second part will be the actual stretching exercises. And hopefully I trust those people who would like to follow this video or who would like to do these exercises, they will do the food part on their own, the prep. In other words, they'll have plenty of water before they're going to stretch. And they're going to have some protein food, protein-rich foods, and perhaps maybe a little bit of something sugary, like some juice or something before the exercises. Protein shakes works miracles, actually. So I would recommend that as well. So today, Yuri, a good friend of mine and also a Systema follower, will help us to demonstrate how these exercises are performed in general. And the important part is, you don't have to try really hard. It won't be perfect at first. The important part is to keep trying and to keep observing certain basic rules when you're exercising. And so, as I mentioned before, we will start with just some muscle pumping stuff. We want to improve our muscles, we want to be a little bit resilient, and we want to make sure we don't get any injuries while we're stretching. So without further ado, we'll start with that. One common mistake is people think that when you stretch, it's mostly going into a split, right? Or it's either the wide one or the long one, doesn't matter, right? It is not quite so, although of course being stretched down, below your belt is great, right? But generally you want to stretch your whole body, and ideally you want to do it in proportion. In other words, all parts, your arms, your body, upper body, your neck, your back, and then your legs as well, right? And of course, that same thing holds for working on your muscles before as a preparation for a stretch. So right now, we will start with just basic workout on our arms, basic workout on our legs, and basic on our stomach. Okay? So, Yuri, would you mind taking a push-up position, just like so? Folks, pay attention on how Yuri is holding his fists. It's very important to put your fist flat on the floor, so that the full surface, the first set of phalanges, is right on the floor, and that's where you feel the pressure. Okay? So while you stand in this position, comfortably, okay, we'll do a push-up. And that push-up, I will recommend to do it with your eyes closed. The reason for that is because you want to stay relaxed and you want to do internal work, not work just to show how many push-ups you can do. When you have your eyes closed, you breathe and you at the same time work on doing a proper push-up. And here goes our first principle. In doing our push-ups, we will try to enclose our push-up in breathing cycle. In other words, we start inhale or exhale, and at some point we will feel easier, we will feel lightness. And when we feel that, we start the push-up or push-down. Okay? Then we start exhaling when we are down. At some point we will feel lightness, we feel more relaxation. And at that point we start doing the push-up. So that our breathing is about this wide, whereas the actual work to do the push-up is about this wide. Okay? In other words, the push-up is enclosed into the breathing cycle. So all together, we'll try to do it together with Yuri. It's very important to hear yourself as well. So inhale. Now you start exhaling. And when you feel this lightness in your body, that's when your body starts going down. Notice that as I got down, I didn't stop exhaling. I extended it. Now I start inhaling without movement. And when I feel this lightness, then I start doing the push-up. And so all together it looks like this. We'll try to do it together. Try to hear your breathing, right? So inhale, start exhaling. So following that example, you should do about 10 of these push-ups, enclosing them in your breath. Okay? I want to make a note here about internal versus external work. Usually when we do something just for the count, I want to do 10 push-ups. You would just go 1, 2, 3, 4. Typically that's external work. Right? You want to work on quality. That is, keep your mind inside your body as you're doing this. Work slowly and do these push-ups for the quality of work. That will be internal. Now, the best way to focus on that and the best way to understand what that means, and there's a lot of Systema exercises that require internal work, right? It's much easier to do this with your eyes closed. So that you close your eyes, focus on your state, and do this push-up like so. It is hard work, yet it's way more effective than just doing the pump. So Yuri will try to work it like this. So he'll close his eyes, he'll get in the push-up position, and he'll do just 10 push-ups like so, following his breath and thinking about keeping in mind his internal state. Go ahead, Yuri. Try to hear yourself inhaling as you do this. Very good. Excellent work. Try to make it a bit smoother. So it goes like this. Follow me. So to continue this, obviously, we just worked on our biceps there, pretty much on all our upper arm and forearm, right? We also want to work a little bit on our fingers because we'll stretch our fingers as well. We want to work a little bit on our wrists. And following the principle that Yuri so kindly demonstrated before about enclosing your push-ups or your pump work into your breath cycle, right? I'll just show some examples of how that is done with other parts of your body. Like, for example, the basic push-up is when your hands are down, you're working on your wrists. Right? So you will do essentially the same push-up as you did before, trying to lean a little bit forward so that your wrists here work and stretch a bit, right? So you would do the same exercise. Very good. Then you would switch to your fingers. So you would go on all your 10 fingers, if you can. Now, if your fingers are already fairly strong, you can do it from a full frontal body rest position, from a full push-up position. If not, it's okay to stay on your knees as long as your body is aligned with your thighs. Right? So let's just start with full frontal rest position, and you would go just like so. Then you would switch to 3 fingers if you can. And finally, you would switch to 2 fingers, again, if you can. Right? So typically, what I find it's pretty hard to do from a full frontal rest. So what I usually do is start like so. Right? Again, remember about the comment about your eyes being closed, about your breath. Right? So you inhale, exhale, recover yourself. And you start. And then at some point when you're comfortable, you can raise your body and go from full frontal rest. Just like so. Now, the final part is your wrist. Like I said, we did the front position. We'll also do the wrist position, like this. So again, if you're comfortable, you can stay on your knees with your body aligned, or you can go full frontal rest, straight. Inhale, exhale to recover. And you would go. You can switch position of your hands, of your wrists. Like this. So now we worked on our fingers, we worked on our wrists, we worked on our lower arm and forearm. And so now we need to stretch them. And this is the part where we start stretching our arms. So the first exercise would be to bring your arms as wide as you can and try to reach with breathing. With every breath, pushing your arms a little bit wider, as if your fingers are trying to reach to the walls on the left and on the right. So the important part here is not to let up. In other words, that breath has to keep pushing you without giving up, without releasing what you already attained. Doesn't have to be much, can be a millimeter each time, but every breath pushes you a little bit, like so. After about maybe 20 seconds or 20 breath counts, keeping that same position, you would start rotating your arms in, trying to keep your palms aligned with your arm, like a knife. In other words, try to avoid these bent, curved positions. So from our stretch, we would go you will notice how your shoulders try to lean forward. So after you rotate it, you open up your shoulders a bit. Keep that position and breathe and keep the stretch. When you're done, after about 20 breaths, you would go in the opposite direction, rotating out or backwards. Yeah, and so here is how Yuri is doing this exercise, and he's doing it quite well. Notice how his fingers are stretched, right? So they're reaching out, right? If they're curved, I know he's not reaching. They're stretched, I know he is. He's trying to rotate his arms backwards, like so, while reaching out. Perfect. That's internal work. Actually, it helps if you close your eyes and just feel how your arms reach. Now, when your shoulders go a little bit out and your chest pumps out, you want to keep rotating your shoulders in while keeping your stretch. So try to rotate your shoulders a little bit in, like this. Yes, perfect. Okay, beautiful. Remember about your palms. Good. Notice how he breathes all the time. That's perfect, right? And so now we'll switch to rotating our arms in different directions. So one arm remains rotating backwards, and the other one rotates forwards. So this is a challenge because see how your shoulders tend to get uneven. So you have to keep in mind the level position of your shoulders and try to maintain it. Keep reaching out with your fingers. Beautiful. Okay. And after about 10-15 breaths, you want to reverse the direction of your rotation. Very nice, slowly done, right? So you don't want to rip it, you want to go slowly. Beautiful. Remember about the alignment of your shoulders. Okay. Beautiful. And again, if your shoulders get too much rotated in one direction, try to open them up. So that way you also learn to isolate your shoulders in this exercise. And when done, you just want to quickly rotate your arms backwards once, a little bit, and forwards once, just to balance it out. So to continue in the same vein, we want to finish stretching our arms, right? And we can do it either standing on the knees or we can do it standing up. I'll show it standing up. So we'll have our arms reaching straight up. Again, remember, the tips of your fingers are reaching to the ceiling, as well as the top of your head, right? You reach, reach, reach with breath. Remember that you need to hear you breathe. Otherwise, most likely you're not breathing properly. You also need to keep the stretch, and with every little breath, you push yourself up, even if it's a millimeter up. But you don't give up on the stretch you already gained. So it goes like this. After about 15 breaths or 20 breaths, you switch your arms. So one is reaching down and the other is reaching up. You remember that your shoulders ideally should stay level and your body should not curve or lean. So once in a while you check yourself, right? And then when you're comfortable, you can close your eyes and do that internal work. That is paying focus, paying attention on what's happening inside your body. Then you switch position of the arms. Then both arms try to reach down, pulling down your shoulders. And both arms reach forward. Straight arms, again, positioned like knives, right? In other words, straight, right? You're reaching forward. And finally, the hardest part, where you try to reach back and up. Here is very important to try not to lean too much forward, not to let your shoulders lean forward. and try to bring your arms up. From a side, it looks like so. So if you're leaning too forward, that's not right. There is no work being done. So at the same time, you're trying to raise your head up and you're trying to raise the palms facing up. You're trying to raise them. And after the cycle of about 20 breaths, you release and relax. And so now we'll have Yuri try to repeat these exercises. Right, so first we'll raise his arms up. Remember that fingers have to be taut and reaching up with the tips. The tip of your head has to be reaching up. Try not to tense up your body too much. Ideally, you close your eyes and you have to hear yourself breathing as you stretch. So every breath pushes you up a little bit more, just a little bit. When you feel a good stretch, and you will feel it very soon, you lower one arm and you stretch diagonally. One arm reaching down, tips of your fingers reaching down, and the other arm reaching up. What you notice that Yuri does this really well. His body is straight, is not leaning, so he's stretching perfectly. And he's in control of his body and his breath. Now please switch positions of your arms. When you're doing this, ideally you don't want to release the stretch you already have. So you would want to keep your arms straight, sort of like a windmill. Okay? And you keep reaching. Very nice. Straight fingers pointing down like this. Beautiful. Remember to push yourself with every breath, a little bit. Doesn't have to be much, a little bit is enough. And what's important, see, Yuri is not giving up here. He keeps fighting it. That's perfect. Okay? So now bring your arms forward and reach forward. Straight arms, beautiful. Try to keep your shoulders relaxed. And fingertips reaching forward. Beautiful. And finally, the last one, when your arms are reaching backward. So you would lower them, keeping the stretch, and now your arms are reaching back. Try to remember not to bend your wrists. Beautiful. So this is the most important internal work, where you keep that tension, keep that stretch, and you stretch your body while remaining in control. Remember not to bend your palms, not to bend your wrists. And release and relax. Beautiful. Thank you. So to finish the stretch of the arms, and these are just some very basic stretches, but to finish it now, we also want to do a little bit of rotation. And that goes to your strength and resilience of your joints now. So that's what we'll be working on now for the stretch part. Stretching muscles is a little bit easier than stretching your joints and stretching your tendons. But joints and tendons are a lot stronger. Hence, we'll do a few exercises to stretch those as well. And the basic ones are like these. So you would want to stay on your knees. If you feel fairly strongly, you can do into full frontal rest as well. But I prefer to do it on the knees when you just start. So you would put your fingers on the floor, keeping your wrists aligned with your lower arm, with your forearm. And you would want to lean forward, putting a little bit of your body weight into your fingers, like so. And you want to keep breathing. Then you would lean back and you would let your fingers, again with effort, to bend forward like so, or rather bend backward like so. And again, you would lean with your body weight into those fingers. And breathe. And so the key part here is to put a little bit of your body weight, just enough to make your fingers work. Right? Once you're done with that, you put your fingers down and you start gently rotating them like so, with a little bit of your body weight on the fingers, so that it's not like this, right? That does not help much, right? But it's with the weight of your body. So notice how this arm is fairly relaxed. A little bit of the weight of my body is in the fingers, like this. Remember that with every rotation you breathe, so your breath really pushes you. And it also helps to do this with your eyes closed at least for a few times, so you get the full feeling of the range of this rotation. Okay? Once you're done with that, it's about 5-6 turns is good enough usually for a daily stretch routine. Right? You would lean on your thumb, like so, and you would rotate your thumb, trying to keep your palm as close to the floor as possible. And obviously you do it in both directions. So we'll do the same on the other side, of course. So leaning forward, leaning back, leaning forward, leaning back, then rotating. Both directions. Remember about the weight, right? This arm is fairly relaxed. It's there just for the balance. And then your thumb. Okay, to continue this, we'll work a little bit on our wrists even further. So again, standing on your knees or standing in a full frontal rest, your knees are preferable to begin with. You would lean forward like so. Notice here how both muscles stretch and your joints. Right? So it is both for strength and it's also for resilience of your joints. And so see how I'm leaning into this. Also notice the aligned position of my wrist and my forearm. Okay? They are aligned, they are straight. Not like this, not like this, not twisted, straight. So from the position where you lean forward like so, you put a little bit of your body weight into your wrists. You would feel it right here. You would move into the position on your fists, on your phalange, like during the push-up. And then you would move your body a little bit backward. And you would lean like so, putting the weight of your body again into your wrists. So that again your fist remains aligned with your forearm, right, with your lower arm. So not like this, but straight. Here is your alignment. So after this exercise, we will continue on with the side lean, like so. So again, notice, some of my weight is on the other arm, on the base arm, but quite a bit of the weight is here in the wrist. And a good gauge for yourself is you should not let your fist unfold uncontrollably. So just enough weight to keep your fist together. Right? So you would lean one way, and you would lean gently the other way. All with breath and keeping the weight of your body into this. Then you would switch to the other hand, of course. Similarly, you will put your hands forward like this. Right? So again, push-up position, standing on your knees, your body aligned so the bum is not sticking out, very important. Right? Body relaxed. You would lean on the right side. You would gently lean on the left side. When you're comfortable with this, you can do it at the same time with both hands. Also notice again how my arms are not bending. They're still aligned here. Okay? Very important. And finally, having done those two, you would go leaning forward and leaning backward. The concept is very similar, so I don't dwell on it too much. But again, the principle is the same. You breathe, and you push yourself with a little bit of weight. We'll continue the fist exercises. There is one left, and that one is the most difficult one. It involves rotating your wrist. Right? So that's perfect for your wrist, for the strength of it, and especially when you strike, your arm will not bend. Perfect for stretch and for submission exercises like this, submission walks. Right? Gives you a lot of stamina there and resilience. So all you do is you lean, rotate with a little bit of body weight. Notice how my body rotates as well. It's not that I'm trying to rotate my wrist static. See, there is not too much room for it. But my body shifts a little bit, giving room for the wrist to rotate comfortably, at the same time stretching it. And how much I move my body, that's how much I control my stretch. The less I move, the more stretch I get. And then you switch to the other. Again, very important to keep some weight in your wrist. See how I shift the weight of my body to apply that weight. A variation of this is standing on the edge of your palms, where you would do a similar rotation like so. This is a little bit easier because your fist is open. Okay? And again, a quick reminder, when you're working on your fist rotation, make sure there is just enough pressure there not to let it open. If it opens by itself, that's too much for you. So you need to release it a little bit and go as far as it allows you without opening up. And so now we'll have Yuri try to work through these exercises. So you will notice that when you start, it's a lot easier to start from the knees, as long as your body is aligned. You can start on the palm of your hand, one of them at least, and then you will lean gently forward on that one fist. Okay? See how well is his arm aligned, and how the weight is just right here, weight of his body. So Yuri keeps breathing. Try to go slower, shifting your weight in. Good. And when you take it back, yeah, perfect. You shift it out and back. Notice how the arm curved a little bit here. So you would want to keep it straight. In other words, not like this, but straight. Not like this, straight, like so. Beautiful. That's it, Yuri. Excellent. You can try to do it on the other one, so put that flat on the floor. Beautiful. Now move forward. Just put your body weight in it. See how it bent? So you want to keep it straight, like this. Okay, keep the weight in it. Yep. That's good enough. Doesn't have to go much further. Pay attention to it being aligned here. Beautiful. Gently lean forward. Yeah. Lean forward gently. Your weight of your body forward. That's it. Perfect. So for the second time, right when he did it, see how smoothly he transitioned the weight of his body. That was exactly what's required in this exercise. And so now we'll just try to shift it on the side like this. So put it on the side with the weight of your body again. Good. You see how his hand is trying to open, how his fist is trying to open. That's just about the limit of where it should be. And you gently shift your body weight up. try to do it smoothly, so it goes like this. As opposed to, right? Go. Smoothly put a little bit away, beautiful, and back up. Perfect transition, and put it on the inside now. Rotate it on the inside, yes. More like this, so more like this. That's it. Perfect. Try on the other side. So manage it by shifting your weight. Right? Gently, gently put weight in, yeah. Just enough. Good. Keep it there a little bit. And gently shift the weight out. Yes, like this. Beautiful. Okay. Now you switch position of your fist to face forward. Right. So try to make sure that your arm is aligned here. So it's like this, not curved like so. Yeah. So beautiful. And with that 1 pound, you lean on the side. See how this should be aligned, so it points out a little bit. Yeah. And lean on the inside now. So shift your body weight like this, yes. Beautiful. Check out this alignment, right? As much as you can, try to keep this aligned. And go back. If you need to relax, rest a little bit, take a breath. You need to recover your breath to the state it was before the exercise. So you don't go down, breathing heavier and heavier. Right? You have to be recovered. Inhale your nose, exhale your mouth, as we do in Systema. And here Yuri will try the other hand. So he will go leaning one way, and on the inside. Beautiful. Notice how smooth the transition was now, right? The last part in this is the rotation of the fist. Try to rotate your fist. So down, shift your body weight a bit on the side, flip, up, flip, that's it. So important is not to rotate it just like this, right? I see there is not much weight in it, right? Important is to shift your body and shift that weight like this. Yes. Stop. So in this position, flip with the weight, flip on the back, rotate, don't rush, side, again, flip down, rotate. Now flip back, on the back, rotate with your body, and flip on the edge, and flip on the edge again. So it is a difficult exercise. It might seem easy, but it is very difficult. Good job, you. Thank you. Okay, so now that we've worked on our wrists, the two remaining parts are elbows and shoulders. And for this, the exercises are fairly straightforward. We'll also try to do them standing on the knees. We will lean forward like this, trying to keep our bum pointed up and our back straight as possible. Right? We will lean on our arms, stretching like so. So there is that stretch there. Trying to keep our elbow as close to the floor as possible. Right? Then we will rotate our arm, put the elbow on the floor, try to keep the elbow at the same point, and rotate like so, with breath. Then we'll switch the direction of the rotation. And then we'll switch to the other arm. Now, this exercise can be done lying down, like so, whereas your arm is pointed sideways. You keep it flat on the floor. Keep the elbow ideally in one place. Keep your chest on the floor. And notice how my palm rotates. So it turns down here, turns up, keeps rotating as far as it can, and again flips down. Right? So that's the exercise. And the second one will be the shoulder one. For this one, you actually need to lie down. One arm is behind you, or you can put it on the hips, preferably behind for balance, and so you can actually touch the floor behind you. One arm is straight, the other arm is straight, so that you can actually lay your ear on it or your head on it. Notice how your feet should be lying on top of each other, or the top foot is on top of the bottom one. Right, legs are straight and relaxed. You would move your straight arm all the way down. Try to relax your neck too. You would lift your hips so that arm goes through. You would lower your hips and let the arm continue until it does a full circle. Again, lift your hips. So the important part here is not to lean too much on your chest because it's very tempting, like so. So you try to stay on the side. Yeah? And then you go back the same way. Now when you are done, you would sit up with breath and you would go in the opposite direction, like so. So you can continue this exercise on the other side by the other arm. Rotate, lift your hips. Again, try not to lean forward on your chest. The stretch is happening right here, in my shoulder. Also notice how my feet are not getting tense or not separating from each other. They are rested and relaxed. And that point about the shoulder being stretched, the shoulder is stretching right here. When you're done, again, you softly lift yourself up and relax and recover by your breathing. So now we'll have Yuri try the exercise. As you will see, he is standing on his elbows properly and on his knees. Right? His back is straight, which is important to remember, and he will try to rotate now, working on the elbow of the left arm. Notice how he breathes, how he pushes his arm with his breath. Notice how his elbow remains put in one spot. Opposite direction, perfect. Try to keep your wrist aligned. Try to keep it straight like this. Beautiful. Don't jump over tensions. So when you go, elbow goes down. Beautiful. That is perfect. Okay? And we will try the shoulder one as well. So you lie on the side. Okay? So you put your ear perfect on the arm. And you gently start rotating it down. Try to relax your neck. So now you lift your hips. Beautiful. That is where work is happening, right? That little dragging, that's where you're stretching. Relax your neck, relax your neck. You see, it's very tempting to lean forward. So the less you lean, the better the stretch will be. And try to do a backward rotation as well. See how he controls his legs, right? They try to get separate, but he's keeping them together. Very good, Yuri. Thank you. Perfect. All right, perfect. Thank you, Yuri, for your help. And now we will try to switch gently or continue our stretches from our arms into our lower belt, into our legs. Right? So as you recall, we stretched our arms up at first. Right? So now we will try to put them in a lock position like so. Rotate them up. Stretch up again. Now that we are stretched, it should not be an issue. Calmly stretch our whole body. Without, of course, we don't forget to breathe. And we'll gently lean on one side, trying to gracefully curve our body. And then we gently bring it over to the other side. Notice how aligned I am, right? So I'm not leaning my arms forward, I'm not leaning them back. My body is aligned sideways. So ideally it should be, in profile, it should be just one line, without any curvature. Okay? So having done that, and having come back, I will try to lean backward. In a similar fashion. And coming out of it, now I will lean forward, and there is where we start engaging our legs. Now remember, this is the first exercise for the legs, so be gentle. Let your body know by this that you're not going to rush it, you're not going to rip it. You're going to gently lean forward. Very important to release your back, lower back, to let your bum feel like it's coming up, and feel how your toes, how your weight rather shifts into your toes. So it's not like this where your bum leans back, it's where your body leans forward. You can even put your hands under your toes if you can, like this, right? And toes is what gets the weight of your body when you are leaning forward a bit, with your bum coming up. Right? Now, that reach of your bum is what gives you the initial stretch. Right? So again, I'll just show it with the arms, with the hands under my feet. So the bum, my body is leaning forward, and my bum is trying to reach the ceiling. So this is our ideal position. Again, the weight is on my toes. Now, quite often you will see that if you don't have the stretch, your knees will bend, right? This is okay, that's no problem, right? What you want to do though is, you don't want to hump, so you don't want to do this, right? And as well, if your knees are bending like this, right? You can do a little bit of a play with them, so you can straighten one, then straighten the other. Right? All that with breathing. Right? So like this. Very good. And then from this position, right, while you're still leaning forward, make sure your neck is relaxed, make sure your upper back or lower back is relaxed. Put the back of your palm on the outside, so right palm outside of your left foot. Again, release your head, let it hang down, raise the left arm, Again, keeping relaxed, keeping your neck relaxed, trying to look at your fingertips over your shoulder. All that with breath. Then gently lower. Back to the original position. Now the back of the left hand goes on the outside of your right foot. Your right arm is raised. Your neck is relaxed, head is looking down. And you look over your shoulder at the tips of your fingers of the right hand. You come back to the original position. You lock your hands behind and you gently lean forward, trying to raise your palms. Again, try not to lean with your bum back. That's cheating. Try to lean forward. And work on bringing your bum up as well as your palms. Again, in this position, if you feel like your knees are bending forward, you can alternate them. Straighten them alternatively. One and then the other. And when you've done maybe 20 breath cycles, you gently lower your arms and come out of this position. Vertebrae by vertebrae. Slowly, lining yourself up, raising yourself. And then you recover. I'll make one more comment on this. Again, about 20 breath cycles is good enough for any stretch like this. If you have time, it's very, very good to repeat it at least once. Right? If you can't do everything 2 times, you will feel how the second time takes you farther. So when we are doing this stretch that I was just showing, it does help sometimes, especially if you're doing it in the morning and you're still not so warmed up. It does help standing in this position. It does help to massage your legs. So you can apply quite a bit of strength of your fingers, quite a bit of effort to massaging your thighs here, right? The back of your thighs, your upper leg, right? As well as lower leg. So don't be shy in this. It literally has to be warmed up, right? That will help you stretch immensely. As well, and that is kind of a side comment, you definitely want to check how relaxed your leg is. If your leg is too tight, there is no way you can move your kneecap. Okay? You will see, I'll actually show it. There is no way you can move your kneecap. Now, if your leg is relaxed, your kneecap will move quite a bit. Right? And so that is something you also want to do, right? So you would want to relax your leg, and you would want to move your kneecap on one side, then on the other side, then down, then up, and then rotate it in a circular fashion. Okay? So this is a good test for relaxation of your leg, and it's also a good workout for your kneecaps. Okay? So having all that, we will try to see how you will do all these stretches. Okay. So we will first recover our breath. We recover our body to the pre-exercise condition, because we are starting on a new exercise here. So make sure your body is relaxed and free. Very good. Then we will lock our hands like so, interlace our fingers, turn them out, and gently start raising them. So first we'll try to reach up, just like this. Perfect. Try to keep our chest relaxed. See how your body is aligned. That's very nice. Right? And now you will try to lean on the right hand side. Beautiful. So your hips go in one direction, whereas your arms go in the other. So you feel a curvature here, right? And you feel stretch right here. Excellent breath. And gently lift yourself back up. And lean on the other side. Very good. And breathe. Try to keep this line and this curvature will help you stretch right here. Beautiful. Gently come back up. Keep the stretch in the hands. And now see if you can lean backward. Now it's a little bit of a game because you have to control your balance. Very good. Gently lean back. Perfect. Straighten up. Beautiful. And now try to lean forward. Don't rush. Take your time. So remember our key rules. Straight lower back. So no hump here. Perfect. We try to reach up with our bum. And we try to lean a little bit forward. Perfect. Try to relax your neck. Beautiful. So it's not really that important how far down you can go at first. On the second repeat, it will be a lot easier, you'll go a lot farther. Okay? But the key is to maintain that shape and feel how your bum is reaching up. That's where the stretch is occurring. Also notice how his body is leaning forward as opposed to letting the bum go backward. Right? That is perfect for stretch. Beautiful. So staying in this position now you are. Put your palm on the outside as far as you can. Relax your neck. Lift this arm and try to see tips of your fingers over your shoulder. Perfect. So if your stretch does not allow you to do the full reach first, try as much as you can to make yourself comfortable. By your breath, find a way that you can do the stretch, remaining comfortable as much as you can. And I see you're finding this by breath. That is good. Gently relax. Perfect. So now that arm goes on the outside. Beautiful. And the other one is trying to reach. So keep looking at the fingertips. And try to relax your neck. Let it drop. Beautiful. That's it. Now interlace your fingers again. Actually, my apologies, behind your back, that's right. And see if you can lean again, raising your arms like so. This is the hardest one actually. So again, does not have to be high, but you do have to fight it a little bit with your breath. Beautiful. See how you is trying to lean forward? That is exactly what needs to be here, what needs to be happening here. And you can now gently lower and relax. Very good. So now we've done just a basic warm-up stretch just to feel our legs and warm them up a little bit. Okay. So now there's going to be a couple of more exercises. Basic for stretch as well. And then one for each joint of your legs, right? That is right before we're gonna pump our legs a little bit so that we can do full static stretches, okay? So without further ado, one of the basic exercises is once we were reaching down, right? And when we were putting our hands under, we're now gonna shift it a little bit. So of course we can do it leaning toward one leg by the same way, like so, right? But the more advanced exercises were you put your foot on a heel like so, you step a little bit back with your base foot, you bend it in the knee, and you try to reach toward your toe. Again, the key here is not how far you can reach by humping up or what have you. Your back needs to be straight, and the key here is pulling your toe toward you. That's where the stretch occurs. Not so much in your back, not so much in your hip. right? So you try to pull your toe toward you, and you will right away feel how your leg stretches in the back here. So the toe tries to reach toward you as much as you can. Having finished that, you flip to the other side, of course. Right, again, keeping the same distance between your legs. Again, toe points up and toward yourself. And even if you cannot reach far toward it, you want to bring the toe as much toward you as you can. So no sharp returns, you do everything slowly and smoothly. Having done that, we'll work a little bit on the joints of our legs, on our toes, on our ankle, and on our knees and hips. Not gonna take too long, but we'll have to go through this before we start pumping our muscles. Okay, so after basic stretch that we just did, that was dynamic stretch, of course, because we did the dynamics with the movement. We will work on our joints a bit. Okay, so first is our toes. And similarly to what we did with our fingers and our wrists, we want to put the toe or our foot on the ball. We want to keep it aligned, so the arch is aligned with the lower leg, like this. It's aligned here. Right? And we will want to lean it on the right with some weight, and then gently lean it on the left. You put as much weight into your foot as it can handle comfortably. Right? Try not to let it go back or too much forward. Try to keep it aligned as you lean it one way or the other. Okay? And when you've done that, you can gently rotate your foot now. Again with weight. So as you notice, a little bit of my body weight goes into here, into the leg that's being worked on. Forward, for that is turning clockwise and counterclockwise. Now, this was just for the ankle, for the toes, but we also want to lean forward on our toes and backward. So toes are exercised the same way that fingers were. So we lean forward, we lean backward. This exercise is better done on a rug or on a carpet, so you don't hurt the toes themselves. Right? And once you've done that, you will gently rotate, do a full rotation with your toes now, working them. Yeah? So now, with that being done, the next exercise will be leaning on the outer edge of your foot and then shifting your weight onto the inner edge of your foot, like this. So notice how this leg is there for balance. The main weight is on the right leg, in this case, the one being exercised. So I'll briefly repeat all I've done so far with the left leg, which is putting it on the ball of the foot, straightening it up, leaning to the left, leaning to the right with breathing, with slow transitions, then rotation, and then rotation in the opposite direction, then leaning forward on the back of the toes, or rather on the top of the toes, remembering to apply gently and sparingly weight of your body to it, and then rotating with your toes. Again, very important point, it's not like rotation like this, right, without weight. The rotation is with a little bit of pressure over your body weight. So you work through that. Okay? And then finally, we lean on the outer edge with the weight on this leg and on the inner edge. outer and inner. With that being done, our ankles and toes are pretty well worked. So now we switch to the knee. And the way we do this is we lean on the leg that's being exercised, putting weight in it. The other leg is just there for balance. And with that weight, we rotate the knee all the way as far as the range allows us. Notice how I move my body over it. So the knee is worked all the way, and it has some pressure on it at all times. So clockwise and counterclockwise. I will do the same with the other leg, of course, with the other knee. Notice how I can lift my other leg without any issue at any point. Notice how my body gently moves around to facilitate this movement. And clockwise. For the symmetry of it, then of course you would want to do both legs. That should be quite much easier because it's easier to keep the weight on both at the same time. What you do have to remember though is that you have to run a full range of motion here, as far as you can, without of course falling. And clockwise. Beautiful. Then of course you do the same with hips, which is a standard exercise. The only comment is that you do it to the full range of motion. So not like just as people usually do it, right? But all the way. With those stretches we did before, on the side, forward, on the back, it has to reach the full range of motion. Notice how my breath pushes me as in every exercise. And finally, the whole upper body. So here we'll gently lean down, drag our arms, look at our arms, our hands, gently rolling our body from one side to the other, rotating it. At every point you have to feel like the string on the bow, a little bit taut, stretched. And finally, we will do some of the lower exercises for the joints of the legs, right? Now that we've done the basics. And here is where we start getting into some hardcore dynamic stretch, right? So this one is with weight. So the pumping will leave for a little bit later, the muscle work, right? For right now, just sit down like so, and we try to lean on the left-hand side, bringing our foot underneath ourselves. Now helping yourself with the hands for balance, we let our bum move over the foot so that we sit in what's called semi-split. Okay. Now notice I keep to move my body, I keep moving my body and keep straightening my leg as much as I can, similar to the elbow exercise we did before. Now then I'll rotate it, and I'm back to the original position. Okay? So the full motion looks like this. Keeping the knee as close as possible to the floor. Similarly, we'll go the other way, counterclockwise. So I start leaning a little bit away from the leg to give it room. I keep keep my knee as close as possible to the floor. I move over the foot. And I'm back to the original position. If we look at it in one motion, it looks like this. No rushing here, just taking your time. The other way. As you notice, at some point you won't need your arms for support anymore. Your body will be able to move back and forward over the leg. So the other side will look quite similarly, just like this. So in, gentle move over. So one important comment here is that you don't rip your body, making it jump over your tension. So if I am leaning forward and my leg is right underneath me, I don't do this. That would be jumping over my own tension. That can actually hurt me and rip my muscles. What I have to do is I have to reach softly. If I have to, I can put my hands down to give me support. But you have to reach softly and work through that tension, not jump over it. So that's the exercise. Now, the next one is probably quite hard. And if you don't feel like you're warm enough for it, if your muscles are ready for it, you don't have to do it at this point. It can be postponed until later in your workout. But here it is, it's called escalator, okay? So you would lie down on the side, and you would put one of your hands in front of you for support, the other one under your head. You would gently move your lower leg behind, and you would keep moving it as far as your body allows it to go. Then you would push off with your hands, and you would go over until you almost are in a split position. If you're in a position like this is fine. Doesn't have to be a split. But otherwise, you lean on the other side and you finish the escalator. Back to the original position. So altogether it looks like this. Going back, fairly easy as well. Same way, you bring your lower leg forward as far as it can go. You lean your body toward it. Gently push off with your hand until you're over the leg. Again, it doesn't have to be a full split. It can be just like this, that's fine. Move your hands over. Continue moving the leg until you're back in the original position. Now, when you switch on the other side, you sit up, move your legs on the other side, and then in a similar fashion, you start going backward. Make sure you're back in the original position. Check that you're relaxed. And then go forward. So your leg goes up as far as it can. You put your hands down. You lift yourself. Move over the leg. If you can do a full split, great. But if you can't, at this point, it's fine. Move the other hand over. Continue the motion. Make sure your leg is the one that does the moving. and you're back. All right, so now we will go into serious leg work. Again, as I said, before stretching, especially before static stretching, we do need to pump our muscles a little bit. We do need to work our muscles out. So for that, the best exercise for legs is squats. And the squats are fairly simple. In a similar way to push-ups, you would put your feet shoulder width apart. You would make sure your body is straight and your arms are relaxed down, straight. You would inhale. And you would start going down into a squat on exhale. Notice how relaxed your arms are. They're just hanging. And notice how I finished my breath after I finished doing the squat. So now by the same token, I'm going to enclose my movement into my breathing cycle. I'm going to start inhaling. And then when I'm more relaxed, I'm going to go up. I'll finish my inhale after I finish moving. And I'll continue. Again, it really helps to keep your eyes closed at some point, just so you know you're working internally. Another important point, you want to make sure your back is as straight as possible. You are not leaning forward or leaning backward, and your feet try to stay on the floor. So you try not to raise them up. So you don't do this, but rather this. It is fairly difficult, but it is something to work on. And the way you work on it is generally by keeping your legs first a little bit wide. So it's fairly easy to go down, keeping your feet on the floor. You would do 10 times like this. You would bring your feet a little closer, and you would do 10 times like that. So you may want to change direction of your breathing as well. So if you were going down on exhale, go down on inhale next. And finally, you would do 10 more times, keeping your feet together. Again, changing direction of your breath. So if I were going down on inhale, I'm going to go down on exhale now. So inhale first. And relax. So we keep our feet parallel, pointing out. We'll try to keep our lower legs perpendicular to the floor and legs open as wide as we can, like so. So we'll push our knees a little bit out. And in this position, you will feel a little bit of a burn, but you want to first stay straight. And then you want to squat a little bit, if you can. You'll want to do it about 10 times. Right? And then from the lowest position you can comfortably get in, you will want to push your knees out. You can lean forward a little bit, keeping your upper body straight. And you want to statically stretch and relax in this position with breath. Then you straighten up and relax. And this exercise leads us into the next one, which is called rollovers. So we would go into a lunge where our base foot is as much parallel to our body as it possibly can be. The toe of the opposite foot is pointed up and tries to reach toward you. This is the second important part of the stretch. And you would lean on the right leg, in other words, on your base leg, and you can even help yourself by pushing it out a little bit. Like this. When you're comfortable in this position, you would put your hands forward And you will try to lean a little bit forward too, keeping your back straight. You would softly and with breath flip to the other side. This is the rollover part. Again, remember, the foot is parallel to the floor. Toe is pointed up and toward yourself. It reaches toward yourself, this way. Again, you would gently lean to the base leg. You would help yourself a little bit with the hand, pushing it out and forward. And you would make sure that your heel is on the floor. If it cannot be on the floor all the way, that's okay. But still, you should strive to bringing it as close to the floor as possible. And then you gently lean forward, keeping your toe pointed up. An important reminder, you have to hear yourself breathing. Otherwise, if you do not, most likely you aren't breathing. And again, when you've counted about 10 breath cycles in both positions, you would start doing soft and slow rollovers. Just like this. Now, when you are done with these rollovers, the next part is rotating your hips. And this is a little difficult, but nonetheless, it's feasible. And if you follow, it will not be as hard. So you would want to rotate your base, or rotate your hip, like so, until you end up in a forward-looking lunge position. Then you would rotate it down again slowly, with support on your arms. And again, back. From this position, and you would probably want to do it about 3-4 times. From this position, you would want to lean forward, reaching forward, stretching your body. So you're working these muscles, stretching these muscles here, and stretching your hip. Having done that, you gently lean a little back, and you reach out almost in this yoga position, rotating your hip even further inward. And come back. To continue this, you would gently lower your elbows and try to reach your chest to the floor. Again, about 20 cycles, breath cycles is usually enough for this stretch. Now in this half-kneeling position, when you came back, you would want to grab your back foot, grab it with your hands, and try to bring it toward your butt. Try to keep your, again, thigh aligned with your upper body. And if you can just put your hand on top and bring it in. So having done that, you would lay your knee down like this on the side. And you will try to reach down with your stomach forward. With your breath. Again, if you can reach this far, that's perfectly fine. Every time you do it, especially if you do it twice in a row, you'll be able to reach a little farther. So the important part is your back is straight and your stomach is relaxed, and it's the stomach that reaches toward the leg. And when you're comfortable, you would move a little bit backward. And you will try to lean again, now reaching your chest to the leg. And after about 20 breath cycles, you would go down further and you would try to reach your head down. To reach the floor after your leg or behind your leg. Now in this position, after these stretches, you would make yourself balanced. You would again lift the foot and you would try to reach the foot to your bum. Now, as you recall, we were rotating our hip in and out. Now we'll rotate the other hip, but this time the one with the knee. Right, so you see how my knee starts the movement. Not my arms pushing off, but my knee starts the movement. And arms are there to help it and support it if required. Beautiful. Now with that done, I go back to the upright position and I will lean back, sitting like so, back into that semi-split. Now, I will generally bring my leg around and forward, and as everybody has seen, a simple fold, we'll continue with that. So we'll put hands on our toes if we can. If we can, it's fine, but the toes do need to be pointing at us. That's the main stretch that's happening here. Not in our back, not in our legs, it's in the toes reaching toward you. And finally, of course, if you can, you would go down all the way. Right? But if you can, that's okay, as long as your toes point toward you. And that will make your heels actually come off the floor a little bit if you're doing it correctly. Beautiful. So when we're finished with the fold, now that we've done one cycle on this one side, on the right hand side, we need to do the same cycle on the left hand side. I'll just run through it fairly quickly, but again, every exercise has to be done to about 20 breath cycles. And again, I'll remind you, it's all with breath. And ideally, you would want to repeat it twice if you have the time, each one. Second repetition gives you an excellent stretch, at least a couple of centimeters or maybe an inch. All right? So, from this position, we'll go back into the lunge. Remember, the foot is parallel, toe is looking toward you. We first rotate down and up. Yeah. Then we rotate our knee. Then we bring our knee up. We bring the leg up. And stretch our hip and our thigh. Then we go down on the knee and we gently fall down. Now, the important part to remember here is that your leg should not be turned out. The arch should be lying flat on the floor. And so you will lean forward, reach forward. Again, if you can reach like this, that's fine. If you can reach lower, that's perfect. You will gently move your body back and touch your chest to the leg. And finally, you will try to reach your head to the floor behind your leg. Having done that, you would stand up in this position, grab your heel, grab your toe rather, and bring it toward your bum again. Then you release it. And we are coming on to the second set of exercises here now. So if before we were rotating up and down our hips, now we're going to rotate them forward and backward, if that makes sense. You will see what I'm talking about. So from this lunge position that we had, we will go into the half split. We will try to do a fold if we can, reaching toward the toe. Toe again trying to come closer to us, to our body. For an advanced person, for an advanced stretcher, you may want to try to go on the side as well, trying to reach the floor rather than your leg. Again, toe is the key here. Toe reaches toward you. Now, and this is where the kinky stuff starts. You would put your foot, your base foot on a toe, like this. You would straighten up your toe. So it's aligned with the arch and your lower leg. And you would try to reach your hip toward the floor. Again, if you can reach toward the toe in this position, great. Lastly, you would lean further back. Have your foot touch the inside of your thigh, and again you would lean forward. Again, 20 counts each position. So what we are doing here, to remind you again, from this position or from the back position, we go on our toe, reach to the floor, go forward, reach to the toe to the floor, then again go on the toe, hip reaches down, and then gently fall back, foot on the side of the hip. That's the cycle of the exercises. So you're doing rotation of your hip forward and back at the same time doing the stretch. Okay? And this exercise takes us very close to doing a split, which is what we're going to cover in the next exercise. Having done that exercise on one side, I will do it on the other, and I'll show you how it translates into a split, into a front split. Right? So again, you would go doing it on the other side into your lunge. Right? You would lay your knee down gently, half split. You would reach toward your toe. If you can, on the inside, you would put your hands down and stand up on your toe like this. You would go down, trying to reach your hip to the floor. Again, see if you can reach toward the leg. Again, remember, I'm just showing this as a repeat. That's why I'm doing it fairly fast. But in reality, you should be doing it as slow as you did it on the other leg, of course. Right? And lastly, you lean back with the foot on the inside of your thigh. And again, you reach. So having done these rotations once or twice, so you're rotating your hip forward and backward essentially. Right? So now I'm rotating it forward. Right? Right? Here is where you put your hands down, gently lift your hips, and straighten your leg. This is almost a split now. Now the key to a full split is that your toe still reaches toward you, and that your knee tries to lie on the floor, not on the side. If it's on the side, you're actually hurting your thighs and you're not doing as much of a split as you could. So, foot turned in, knee turned in, and we got our split here. You will notice sometimes your foot will shake a little bit, right? This is perfectly normal, but if it starts shaking, just keep it right at that position, maybe a little bit less. Right? Now, when you feel comfortable in this, if you've done this maybe twice, you should be able to just as well lean forward like this, or to reach the floor. Of course, it won't come right away, but this is something to strive toward. Right? And again, you will gently, gently and slowly bring your leg up. You would go on the other side. And again, from this semi-split position, you would go into a full split, having rotated your hips back and forth. Again, paying attention to your toe, pointing at you, paying attention to your leg, lying on the floor, rotated under as much as possible. Notice how my arms here are not pushing me away from the floor. They're just here for balance. And again, if I have to lean forward or towards the floor. See, my foot shakes a little bit. I let it off a little bit like this. But not too much, just enough. And from this position, I can gently lift myself up. So this is it for the front split. Now, there's still a little bit of work left on the wide split, sideways split. And we'll cover that in the next exercise. So our next part is a side split. Right? Now that we've dealt with the front one, or with the long one. So, fortunately, it's a little bit easier actually, contrary to a common belief. So the first exercise you would want to do is, you would want to use the wall or some obstacle behind you, some stop that you can use to land your feet in. It will work like this. You will go on your knees, you will open wide as much as you can, keeping your lower legs parallel. You would move back toward the wall, open your hips as much as you can. So again, not like this, but rather like this, where your lower leg is parallel to your body. Right? And parallel to each other. And then from this position, you put yourself on the elbows and you relax down. You can gently stretch your arms if you can. So the key in this is to keep your bum reaching up and back. And try to keep your back straight as well, so it doesn't curve down too much or it doesn't curve up. So just straight. Again, usually 20 breath cycles in this position are great. You will notice after a while how your legs start going apart by themselves. And that's an excellent prep for a wide split. Okay? So then, since we started making use of the wall, we will do another static one. And again, this one you can do like if you have free time, or can be actually done separately and by itself. So I'll turn my back toward you, but this exercise looks like this. You come as close to the wall as you can. It is a little bit tricky because you want to move as close as possible. Okay? But once you are at the wall, you open up your legs and let them rest. Just like this. Make sure your back is fully on the floor so you cannot take your hand underneath yourself. And in this position, you just rest. Again, as long as you can, this exercise, no limit on time. Right? 20 breath cycles, however, is usually good enough for regular practice. Okay? And to finish it off, you can do a little bit of dynamic work. So this one is kind of tricky. You would lift your leg as much as you can, ideally close to you. Again, grab the toe, like this, yes. If it goes like that, that's fine. If it goes higher, perfect. You would gently try to go back, keeping that stretch. Again, if it is like this, that's fine too. So you would reach toward that leg. Now, keeping your hand on the inside of the toe, you will try to open up. And again, if it's this high, that's perfectly fine. Right? After a while, you will feel how your hips open up and you can easily do this. Then you will go up, grab your foot with the other hand, and go on the other side. The key to all of these strange positions is try to find a comfortable, relaxed, if possible, placement for yourself, so that, or placement, comfortable condition. So that, for example, if you are uncomfortable like this, by breath, try to place yourself where it's easier for you to maintain the position. And ultimately you would get up. And just to polish it up, you would grab your foot, reach it forward, grab your heel, reach it out, grab your heel with the other hand, and reach it on the other side. And then you would again, with breath, bring it forward. So again, to repeat, grab the toe, straighten up, upper body is straight, bring it in, heel, out, in, and then heel, exhale, and in, and again toe, exhale, and bring it down and inhale. Perfect. Now we are prepared to a wide split. Now, remember what I mentioned at the beginning, when our legs are strong enough, when we did our squats properly, right, we should be fairly safe in this position. We should have control of our position. So we shouldn't be too much afraid of falling, rolling over, or losing control and hurting ourselves. Right? So it's very important in this wide split. So you go with your legs as wide as you can. Right? Some people can do it like this wide, some people can do it wider. For the sake of just showing it to you guys, I'll do it as wide as I can, like this. Right? With the key again being that your toes are pointed up and toward yourself. Right? So the simple exercise would be just a forward lean. So again, your bum is trying to reach back and up. Your back stays straight. And you gently lower yourself. So if this is how far you can go, that's not a problem. Right? As long as your toes are up, you're working it. If you can go all the way, so much the better. Make sure you're not rolling like this. That's a different position, different exercise. Right? So for this one, you just pull your toes up. Beautiful. You gently bring yourself up with breath. And again, a reminder, you take yourself as far as it starts being really uncomfortable. Right? Don't take it beyond, don't hurt yourself. Right? So in this position, you straighten yourself up. You will try to roll now. So you will go on your elbows, just like we were doing at the wall. You will try to roll forward. And then you will gently try to roll back. If you can do it to this level, that's perfectly fine, right? If you are sitting like this, you bring yourself up, And this is where your legs need to be straight, right? So they don't give up. And you gently bring yourself as far as you can, and then you roll yourself back. Now, when you become a bit more advanced, this is where serious stretch gets into play. I tend to do this now. You would raise your arms up, sitting as wide as you can. You would raise your arms up. You would lean on the side. Remember that stretch we were doing at the beginning of the class? You would grab your toe with your palm a little bit turned out. You will try to reach this elbow to the floor. And you will try to lay flat, touching your ear and shoulder to the leg. When comfortable with that, or as much as you can, again, if you can do it this far, that's great. This far, not bad. You will turn your body flat forward, and you will try to reach again. First toward the toe, and then if you can, toward the inside of the leg. 20 counts in each direction should be perfectly fine. So just to complete it for the other side, again, you rotate your arm, grab the toe, elbow down, touches the floor, turn your body over so you're seeing the ceiling, and you gently reach the toe with the other arm. Notice that the other toe is still controlled, still is pointing up. Then I gently raise myself, turn my body flat, and inside. When I'm done with this, I want to stretch my legs in a slightly different direction. I want to open them further and relax. So I will turn them out a little bit and lean backward, like this, which makes it really easy to bring them together, heels together, like this. I will grab underneath my heels, and I will try to do the butterfly gently, like an open butterfly, gently leaning forward. If I cannot go down all the way, it's perfectly fine to go down a little bit, as long as you keep working on it. From this position, I'll bring my legs wide. Right? So now we're working on relaxing our legs after the workout. And I will gently touch the knee to the inside of the other foot. I'll do the same on the other side. And repeat it a few times. I try to keep this knee put, not letting it move too much down. So my hips work on both legs. And finally, when done, I want to shake my legs a little bit, and I want to lean back to bring the knee up and release. Lean a bit back so the knee comes up and release. Then both legs and release. So bring, release. So the key here, guys, to notice is not just a leg move, right? I pull my leg by leaning my body, and I let it free out. Pull, out. Pull, out. And this pretty much covers the stretches that people normally will do during their workout for Systema. There is, however, one more point I wanted to make, and that is about accelerators that are available to us as well. And that will be our next exercise. One might wonder, how difficult is it to get into these splits, and just how much time do I have to spend doing that? And like, is it really worth it just to have a split for a split's sake? Well, I gotta say it's all achievable, it's all manageable. And the good news is, you have accelerators that will allow you to do it faster. Ideally, again, I would start trying with these static stretches, with normal breathing, and taking your time. Okay, that's why I showed that first. And of course, that allows you to do these exercises more profoundly, more carefully, and with as little trauma as possible. Right? Now, speaking about accelerators, there are two, and those are used wisely and sparingly. they can bring you to the end result a lot faster and a lot more efficient. So we'll start with the first one, and the first one is a breath hold. The theory is that human psyche cannot focus on many things at the same time. So if our stretch really bothers us, like it's really, making it hard, if we give our body another distraction that will take over, our stretch will work so much more efficiently. Okay? In this case, the distraction will be a breath hold. So let's say I'm going into my wide split, and let's say I got as far as I possibly could into it. So I can't go any further, it starts aching, it starts hurting. So what I would do then, instead of, if I don't have time to sit in it and let it relax naturally, I would inhale, exhale several times to make sure my body is full of oxygen, my blood is full of oxygen. So I would exhale, leave a little bit of breath in my lungs, a little bit of air, and I would hold that breath. So let me just do that. So when I absolutely cannot hold my breath anymore and I start bartering with myself and asking myself, why am I doing this, or just haggling with myself, that's the time when you need to count to 5 inside and then recover. You recover by burst breath, inhale nose, exhale mouth. You do it up to a point where you feel exactly the same way as you felt before starting the exercise. Now, when you're fully recovered, believe it or not, you will be able to move a little bit further in your split without any trouble whatsoever. And if you have more time, you can repeat the same. So in this new position, you would again inhale, pump yourself up first. You would inhale, exhale, hold your breath as long as you can. Then when you can't hold it anymore, count to 5 inside, as slow as you can, of course. Recover. And see how much that stretch can go farther. And you will feel, it won't be too much, but you will feel how your muscles, how your joints, how your legs go a little bit further, just maybe by a couple of centimeters or an inch. And that's perfect. If you can achieve that in one time, that's a beautiful result. So our first accelerator was a breath hold. Very useful, very healthy. As well, it allows your body to breathe and to feel relaxed during these exercises. So it's really helpful on its own. Now the second accelerator, and this one is a little bit harder to do, is related to tension. So again, the principle is the same. If we give our body a stress that distracts it from the stress of the stretch will go that much easier. In other words, your psyche goes as a sinusoid, or your nervous system. The higher the irritation, the lower the relaxation after. So if we give our body more tension, automatically afterwards we relax it more. Hence, what we're going to do now. Let's say I wanted to exercise reaching my leg like this. So I will get to the end position where I cannot bring it any farther, and it starts feeling uncomfortable, right? So you feel like your knee starts to bend or what have you. So in this position, you would gently, with breathing, tense up the leg, the muscles that are being stretched. You would tense them up. So right now I'm tensing up the thigh muscles and the calf muscles, right? I keep that tension and I breathe. After a while now, when I had maybe 20 cycles or so, maybe 20 seconds, I will release the tension and I keep breathing. you will see how your leg goes just a little bit farther by itself without any effort. And that's your gain for the stretch with this tension accelerator. So, of course, when you're done, you need to lower your legs gently, right? And you do want to relax them, shake them off just like we did before, right? And you want to wind down your exercises, warm down as you did warm up before. And for that, anything works. So you can stand up, for example, and you can rotate your hips gently. You can rotate your upper body. You can rotate your neck. You can stretch your arms a little bit, rotate. And generally you want to breathe and you want to bring yourself to the state you had before you started the stretch exercises. And that is pretty much it for now.